So hello everyone, today's video topic is about the chapter ecosystem of class 9th. Basically, the topic starts with the components of the ecosystem, but we need to understand about the term ecosystem. First of all, what is this term ecosystem mean? The ecosystem is basically, we can say, a community of organism and their environment surrounds interacting together. Basically, the ecosystem contains the both living and the non-living components. If you see around environment or surrounding, we will able to find some biotic or abiotic components. Basically, biotic components are the living things and abiotic components are the non-living things. If you see in your surrounding, you will able to find some living things and some non-living things. Such as in the living things, we will able to find some insects, some animals, some humans, some plants. But in the non-living things such as air, we can feel the air, presence of air, sunlight, temperature. So these all are the non-living components of the ecosystem. So these both living and the non-living community or organism makes the ecosystem. Now starting with the components of the ecosystem, we need to understand that an ecosystem contains both biological community and the non-biological components of an area, such as the living, that is the biological, and non-biological is non-living, basically also named by the term abiotic components. Now if you take an example of an ecosystem, we will able to find some ponds around your area, or if you can also see forest or grasslands. So these all are the term that is also called by the term ecosystem. Now the components of ecosystem, basically ecosystem is divided into two parts, living and non-living. Starting with the first term, that is the non-living components. Basically, non-living components are as basically water, air, soil, inorganic nutrients, and etc and etc. But if you try to understand the physical factors that also affect the life, are also non-living components of the environment. Basically, I am trying to explain that living components are depend on the non-living components. Now if you see that we humans need oxygen, this oxygen comes from the air. Now air is a non-living components, we are living components. So basically living things or living components depend on the depends upon non-living components of the environment for the survival of their life. So ecosystem contains these both things. If one of the things is absent, then the substances of the life is also impossible. Now here is some example or some terms that is related to the non-living components, starting with the first term, that is the sunlight. So sunlight is basically the source of energy for the sustenance of the life, that is also required for the production of the food through the process of photosynthesis by the plants. So sunlight is very important for as human also as for the plants also. If sunlight is not there, then plants will not able to make food and we humans will not able to synthesis food from the plants. Now the second term, that is the air. Air is also responsible for the survival of the life of humans, animals and plants, as air provides oxygen for the respiration of the plants and animals also, and CO2 for the photosynthesis. So oxygen and CO2 also comes from the air. We are not able to see the air, but we can feel the presence of air. Now also it also helps in the, we can say, it also act as a medium to disperse seed and pollen grains from one area to different area for the pollination process in flowers. The third important components of the non-living components, basically the water. We all know that water is very important for the survival of the life of any plants, animals or humans. Now important constituents of all living things, and also we can say act as a medium for the all biochemical reactions that occurs inside a cell, inside our body, and also consumed by the plants and animals to sustain their lives, and one of the important components. So non-living components first of all includes the sunlight, second one is the air, the third most important, that is the water. Now the fourth one, that is temperature, and the fifth one is the soil. Now temperatures, basically temperature condition of an area also influence the body functions of a plant or animals. Now if you see that if any area have very low temperature, that means the temperature goes in the minus, Then there the human life will also change, the surrounding of the humans also changes, and the vegetations found there is also different from the other area. So temperatures also makes an important impact in our surrounding. If any of the temperature rises or comes down, it also affect the life of an plants or an animals living in that area. Now the fifth one, that is the soil. It is important for the purpose of vegetation, as soil contains water and minerals that is required for the growth of any plant. From plant we will able to get food. It also act as a dwelling place, or we can say they also occur, or we can define is as a for several microbes and some burrowing animals like the rat. Soil is also a place of their survival. Rat, snake, earthworm, or many other insects that lives inside the soil. So the types of soil also defines the types of vegetation. Now the types of soils and its nature influence the different types of vegetation found in that area. So soil is also the important non-living components of the ecosystem. Now the last point, or we can say the another component of ecosystem, that is the living components. So the living components includes the first 2 points, that is the autotrophs and the heterotrophs. What are these autotrophs? So these autotrophs are organism, or we can say these are who manufacture their own food, and we can say from an organic raw material. So these are also called as a producer. That means it produce their own food for their survival and also gives food for other organism to sustain their life. Now they all include, for example, if you take the example of an autotrophs, the best example is the plant and some bacteria also. So these plants are basically the autotrophs, so they do not depend on the other for their synthesis of food. Autotrophs are those who manufacture their own food and utilize it, and rest of it it's give to other organism for their survival of the life. Now the second point, that is the heterotrophs, or we can say the another component, heterotrophs. Heterotrophs are organism who depends on the other organism for the synthesis of their food. As we human animals, we need food from the plants for the survival, and we are not able to make our own food. So you have already seen that we are always try to grow more and more plants for the more food. So you have heard about the line that food are not made, food are basically cooked in the kitchen. So they are made by the plants, and we humans cook as for the survival of ourselves. Now the other things, that is the heterotrophs, are further classified into 2 or 3 terms. So in the next part we will understand about the heterotrophs in brief. Till then, thanks for watching.